All right, welcome. My name is Vanessa Wergin and I'm a sports psychologist. That means I'm working with athletes on their performance. And you may now think, okay, but why is she wearing roller skates? One reason is because it looks cooler.
You can't touch this.
The other reason is this. I come from artistic roller skating, which is like ice skating without the ice and on roller skates. And while I was skating on the German national team, I had a problem. My performance in practice did not look too different from this picture. In competition, it did look more like this. Yes, that's me. Yes, I'm falling down. And unfortunately, there's more pictures of me falling than standing. Well, and if you're used to failing already, I can definitely recommend a career in academia. But obviously, this made me feel really bad, and I was wondering, why can't I perform when it matters most? And sports psychology has two theories that explain why we choke under pressure. One is self-focus theory, which assumes if I do something that is usually automated, under pressure, I focus so much on it that it doesn't work anymore. The other theory is distraction theory. And distraction theory assumes if I do something like this, down here, that's not a problem. If someone would ask me to do it up there, my reaction would likely be this. Why? Because a mistake here would make me fail once more. A mistake up there would have very serious consequences. And the same is true for sports. Mistake in practice don't matter, but in competition they can cost a gold medal. So thinking about consequences of our action doesn't help and hinders our performance. And we can say that thinking in sport doesn't necessarily help. Some athletes already know that. And so we know why individual athletes underperform. But when I saw the Brazilian team losing 1-7 against Germany, I was wondering, is this the same phenomenon? Are they all underperforming at the same time, or is there more to this? And interestingly, there was no research in this area at all. So I conducted an initial qualitative study with professional athletes on what I call causes of collective team collapse. And what I found is there is risk factors that make a team collapse more likely. There's critical events on court that cause a team collapse, and there's changes in emotions, in thoughts and behavior in the team that maintain the team collapse. In other words, if a team parties too hard the night before competition, they will likely not perform so well, leading to negative emotions, negative thoughts, and potentially negative actions against others. To confirm this model, I repeated the study with sports psychologists and coaches, basically found the same structure, although they said there were a few more factors that needed to be taken into account. For example, they said game interruption could also cause a team collapse. And game interruption is likely due to players getting injured or players just pretending to get injured. And you may now think, I know how to prevent collective team collapse. Yes, in this case, maybe, but it's not that easy. Our main finding was that emotions do play a really important role. And there is one more construct in sports psychology that is related to emotions, and that's action and state orientation. And I'm going to make this really short. An action-oriented person is someone who just acts and doesn't give a damn about the consequences of their actions. A state-oriented person does care about the consequences of their actions. And if we translate this to sport, it may somewhat look like this. And it's easy to get the impression that state orientation is good and action orientation is bad. But if we look into a high-performance situation, like, for example, a penalty shootout, state-oriented players think about the consequences of their actions. They think, if I don't score that one, my team may lose. The action-oriented athletes just go for it. So I was thinking maybe this is also related to collective team collapse. And to test this hypothesis, I conducted another study, a quantitative one, with 90 field hockey players in 2 preparation tournaments. meaning I was standing beside the court 24/7 waiting for a team collapse to happen. They were not necessarily happy when they found out what I was doing. They did participate, and they actually said they experienced a team collapse in 2 of their games. And I compared these games where they had a team collapse with games where they underperformed and lost without experiencing a team collapse. And interestingly, they had to wear a sensor system because we track their emotions, their action state orientation, and their performance. And for their performance tracking, they had to wear a sensor system which looked like this. Not a joke, we actually measured with this system. They were, again, really excited to participate in the study, but they did. We did several analyses and found that overall, running performance was significantly lower in team collapse games compared to lost games. And if we take into account action and state orientation, we see action-oriented athletes run more or less the same when they lose a game or when they experience a team collapse. State-oriented athletes still run in the lost game, but in the team collapse game, they just stand around, fall over, we don't know what happens, but they don't move anymore. And we also see this is related to negative emotions. The higher the negative emotions, the bigger the difference between action and state-oriented athletes becomes. So what do we learn from this? First of all, action and state orientation does play a role in collective team collapse because it impacts athletes' emotions. Second, emotions and emotion regulation could be a starting point for future interventions. And third, think less when doing sport, or no brain, no pain. And if you now think, but what about me? I'm more like the state-oriented person. Don't worry. Action-oriented athletes are not necessarily good athletes. Thank you.